Mm-hmm. Feel good or bad? Or...
Hello?
Sounds better.
That's definitely stronger.
Good.
Repeat what you were saying, Grimith.
The deaf speaker says, but you are aware that the presence on the seawall is just as lethal, if not more so. Many soldiers travel to there. Servants of the Archmage and of the High Druid, whom the Dragon Empire leans on more than ever to help protect that. Particularly if the Archmage's wards are getting shaky, I'm sure it's dangerous now, more than it has been in this entire age. And it's not just Sahagwyn. Sahagwyn who plague the Fangs, Sahagwyn who come from the Iron Sea. It's all manner of under-creatures who would love to wrap their tendrils upon this plane.
And that only makes it more important for me to go there.
It's not a battle that stops. It just keeps going.
There is one way it can stop. If they win. It is not something I'm willing to accept.
The deaf speaker will turn his masked face away slightly at that.
You sure about this, Thomas?
I think I am.
I'm not going to stop you, but you better keep in contact. I want to know a couple of letters and see what's going on with you.
I'll promise you a barrel of alcohol once I get there.
Make it oily, and you've got a deal.
Small smile to Leon's face. You're so sure about this. Nothing else. Promise one thing. Don't die on us. The world needs you.
I think I can help with that, John will say, clanking up. Thomas won't have to go this alone. It's too dangerous to travel when you're by yourself anyway.
Well. Oh, talk about splitting the party, but yeah. I see that's a good idea.
John looks at Thomas. There's nothing here for me to guard anyway.
Thomas does look like he is about to argue, but then stops himself. Simply nods.
Make sure the shovel is deeply put into the ground for a second. Leon put his arm out to Thomas. Good luck with everything.
Thomas grabs the arm to shake your hand, I suppose. Nods.
Tempus will come over and
If we make it through this, I'm buying all of us a drink. I should make that a barrel on top. Tempus, you're lucky. Get two.
So, you're leaving now?
There's little point delaying things. On the other hand, I do have to organize a proper trip. It would make no sense to travel there now on foot unprepared and get ambushed along the way. But yes, I will leave as soon as possible.
I see. Someone says, I'm sorry, Thomas.
Sorry for what?
You having to do this. It's a burden that no one should have to bear. Perhaps some part of me believes that you don't have to. Just because of who you are, what she said.
Don't think I have to do this. But if I didn't, then others would have to. Be assured that I am doing this because I want to, not because I feel I have to.
I'm sorry we dragged you along to this. You didn't get to the wedding.
Well, the wedding is really not a big deal. It's his third wedding with the same woman. Chances are if I wait a couple of years, I can get to see the exact same thing again.
Well, on the other side, I'm not sorry, Thomas. I'm glad we could steal you away from that wedding. And at least, you know, you self-described. It's probably been boring. I'm sure this has been a lot more fun.
I don't know about the word fun, but interesting at least.
Important.
Since when do you get to kill a dragon and live to tell the tale?
Well, don't be too happy yet. There's 3 more to go.
I'll miss you, Thomas. But it's true what you say. We're not an army. We're not even a commendable squad.
No, you are better than that.
Shakes his head slightly and reaches down a hand to Greyfang. Pats its head.
Greyfang looks sadly at the grave.
Has anyone thought of what to do with him? Just still looking at the dog.
I think he should be the one to decide that.
Nods slightly and says, as long as that would not force us to leave him out in this winter. He deserves better.
As the druids are, I suppose, we do not own nature. They choose to work with us.
Nods.
Perhaps we should head back.
As I was thinking just the same.
I'll probably need a moment. I'll catch up to you all.
Take your time. If nothing else, we need to make sure Thomas is ready to go.
No, it's petting Greyfang, which will begin to a loose Ravinger from the trunk he's been bridled to.
As John begins to walk, he says, well, we can probably catch on with, every now and then there's a ship of some sort of Paladin of the Worm who wants to head out there east. Might be able to find one of those in Newport.
Yes, a ship does sound like the best way to go, even with the Sagwin in the middle sea, but still.
Wouldn't want to walk past Proudfort, not after what the Red supposedly did to it 2 years ago.
Well, Thomas, make sure you grab yourself a fishing rod then.
I'll grab one as well as a spare, because I know myself at this point.
And a spare for the spare.
Go ahead and walk on off here in this direction. Okay, Dark. Walk off this direction.
I've been on the wrong map this entire time.
I figured at least one of you people wouldn't bother to look at the northeast of Newport map.
Beautiful. It's a very beautiful sunrise.
What do visuals matter?
As well. Back towards town. Staying very close to both these two.
Gryph will slowly follow. Wasn't that tied to Fargus that he just fucking like lay down here and die. Just like a simple dog that was like trained to guard, not like a lifelong friend.
As the others leave sort of behind some tree chunks and whatnot, they're talking amongst themselves. Dwohurim sort of walks up, stalling as he was. The Ravinger pulls him close, looking at the grave site, simple as it is. So it stands there for a moment, just looking at it before he kneels down, putting his sort of hand upon the slight mound of non-frozen earth. I'm sorry, Fargus. I was wrong. I hope that I can someday make it up to you. The price you paid for my stupidity, for my arrogance, is high. I know you wouldn't want me to be saddened at this, but I am. You were right. My anger at what Ajax did took my wits from me, and what I regret the most of all of it is that it took this much for me to see and to regain my wits again. I'm sorry, Fargus. I'll never forget. So sort of taking an acorn from a small pouch and pressing it into the soft earth as far as he can with his finger before slowly patting over it with his hand. One day, perhaps, it will grow. When the summers come and the winter is over, when the earth is no longer frozen, it will sprout and show the soul that is cased, hidden beneath, that it did not die in vain. He'll stand up, looking at the grave, taking a slight moment to recompose himself. The others need him. He must be brave for them. There will be time tonight, in his own.
Your pony rubs up against you again.
He'll pet its mane slightly, and decide not to ride home, but rather to walk. He doesn't need to catch up with the others, not before he reaches the city. She looks towards the sunset and begins to slowly make his way in their footsteps.
All right. Let me see here. 5 days will be needed to digest all the papers you recovered from Death's Hand HQ. There's a lot to catalog, but it'll be time well spent. By sifting through the notes, you will acquire all the information posted in the IM last week. In addition, you will be able to use the Fistful of Fives as I defined them. I want to explore your characters now, and this includes a final piece from Thomas, and as a result, he can speak last. How do they feel? Who have they become? What are they saying to each other and to themselves?
Shall I go first, if anyone's...
Go ahead.
Okay. Tempus, this is probably one of the first times where he's actually got himself in a group that he started to feel that he could trust and actually relax alongside. And just steadily as time has gone on, he's grown to like the group more and more and has found himself taking a bit more uncharacteristic risks as times went on, such as offering gold to people without even asking for it back, or giving health potions to his teammates without even batting an eye. He's doing acts of generosity that is very not Tempus at all. It's not something that you would see. That Fargus suddenly going kind of shows him how fragile relationships can be. Even though it's something that has grown and has been tempered by fire time and time again, and we have all survived, it shows that just how fragile that it really can be, and how thin of a knife edge it was that they were dancing on, and especially him, that now one of them is dead and another is, well, planning to leave, and he's feeling the stability is substantially reduced. It's fractured, it's splintered dramatically, and he's quite shaken. His outside demeanour is he's using humour to get past it, but he is quite shaken by the experience that he's grown to trust his colleagues, and now they're all leaving suddenly. And that's Tempus.
To the others, Dwohurim seems perhaps he is not the best at veiling his emotions, but he will at least put up a brave face. He's not openly acknowledging that he is shaken or how he feels, and he most certainly will be the person to pat you on the shoulder when you're sitting in the bar, not smiling or saying anything. He will give you kind eyes when you need them, and any support you might need. He's very gentle with the others and tries to give them as much room or comfort as they might require or want. When he's alone, however, he's much in a different mood. When the others are not there to distract him, when he can't help them, he has to deal with how he feels himself. And that is a much more difficult task than to be there for someone else. He, at first, couldn't believe it. It was like a bad joke, a terrible, terrible thing that should not have been. Now, it is sunken in. It is a terrible truth that he can't really get away from. He doesn't know how to feel. Last time, when he lost many more people he had known for much longer, he was distraught, saddened into a trance almost, where he could barely eat before turning to rage and anger to handle the emotions. Now it's almost as if all that rage and anger he's felt all this time has sort of turned into a hard nut, a stone within his chest that he has to carry around with him. He can't really cry. Not really. And he can't really be angry either. His sadness is different now. It's a deep melancholy that he mostly feels all the time. It is a burden, not because it has to be, but because that is the way he chooses to interpret it. A failing of his, in a way, led to this. Not that he couldn't protect Vargas. Vargas didn't need protecting. It's a different kind of failing. He was wrong, and he was a fool to be stubborn about it. The failing being that it took this price for him to see it.
Leon has certainly been, well, he's definitely been more quiet and reserved than usual, but over that, he's not been doing his activities of throwing daggers or anything like that, just remaining close to, well, the others that are still around. Seemingly, while not showing a huge amount of emotion, still quite clearly he has been shaken by this, down to his core. A feeling of death which is familiar to him, but still not pleasing. Well, you'll notice more often than he used to, almost, pretty much every night, Leon possibly laying in bed for a while, not being able to sleep, and then possibly spying him pull out a small book of prayers and just reading them to himself for what comfort he can get. Certainly shaken him quite deeply, and while Leon won't show the emotion too much on the outside, it's still clear, especially for those of you who've been around him for quite a while. Though he'll try his best to, well, keep everything going as much as he can.
For Thomas, it's certainly an odd mix of feelings at the moment. Foremost, on his thoughts, really anger at himself for not being able to prevent what happened to Vargas. Anger at his own inadequacy, really. Anger at even the great gold worm for making him, well, as weak as he is, really. On the other hand, however, there's a sort of defiant determination that he clings to. The knowledge that what he's going to do is going to perhaps not change things, but make them possible. A peace knowing that he has found a way to do what he's good at, while also being able to completely rely on the trust in his three remaining companions. He is clinging to the hope, to the knowledge that they are capable of making sure that everything will, in the end, be okay. That in the end, Vargas hasn't just died for nothing. And knowing that, not just thinking that, not just hoping that, but knowing that is probably his... Oh, what's the word here? It's probably his main motivator for doing what he's doing.
There is one more thing for Thomas before he goes. As it turns out, he and John are able to find, as John predicted, a vessel which does have ties to the Great Gold Worm, traveling to the Midland Sea, and is bold enough to even, head into Sharktooth, where sharks like those you encountered do regularly dwell, to land, and then land supplies and travel the rest of the way to Cape Thunder. And the reason why it is so bold and so daring, it becomes obvious whenever Thomas, with John flanking him, approach the vessel and see that its captain is a rather boisterous and armed dwarf, whose eyes light up with pleasure upon seeing Thomas once more.
Thomas, lost in thought a bit, spots the two, or at least the dwarf first of all, stops in his tracks, and looks completely stunned for quite a long time.
The dwarf lifts off his helmet and says, "Oh, Thomas, it is good to see you once more."
Bjorni, I had not expected to see you, but I am happy to meet you, although it probably doesn't show at the moment.
We all have losses. We can talk about it. This is my ship.
And you are heading east.
I am, in fact, heading east. Can't just sit around doing anything. After I sold the bar, or shrugs, Carmilla and I, and he gestures a thumb back, and she politely waves, tried to find our place again in the world. Saw that there was an opportunity for new adventure along the sea wall. What with the rumor spreading about the wards possibly faltering, thought, why not?
A very fortunate coincidence, then, that we should meet. Or perhaps more than that.
Yes, He smiles. It seems that my visions were right about you as well. You have changed a great deal. Largely for the better. Although that frown will have to go.
I'll work on it, I suppose.
Welcome aboard, Thomas Chanel.
Thomas nods. We'll board the ship.
I've got just the drink for you. Chuckling as it fades off. Time has passed. It's noticeably warmer outside. The snow has started to melt. The end of Fire Seek is approaching, and with it, the beginning of spring. Messengers have come looking for you, apprentices of the Arcane College. Lord Teraptus has summoned you, Dwohurim, Leon, and Tempus, to his private office. You all are affiliated with the Archmage, so this is not a request.
I'm half imagining people with swords are like.
No. I mean, wizard apprentices aren't exactly going to be carrying around those swords, but
with a staff going.
I mean, the fucking apprentices who are handing you the notes do it with every expectation that you're going to show up, as you have lived on the largesse of the Arcane College during your stay here, and you all are affiliated positively with the Archmage, and Lord Teraptus is the absolute head of the Archmage's interests here in Newport. More so now than ever, as anyone who would possibly replace him is dead. He's kind of powerful. It's kind of a big deal.
I don't know why we wouldn't go.
Well, your player characters.
Oh, let's go back to Dragonholm.
Screw the rules, we're PCs.
Going back to
Sorry,
Froghaven now. Now that Thomas
Sorry
is
to
in
wrap this, but Fuckhaven calls.
You learned that this city kills people. We're leaving.
Wait, we can die? Hell no. Fuck Haven.
Dragon Hall, go.
Go into an adventure tier environment. Screw this shit.
You know what that's like.
We'll just grind until we've got enough gold, right? Right?
Gold,
How
yeah.
many trips through the forest do we need to take?
Just keep escorting caravans through the wildwood.
Fuck is what I want to do.
No. Probably not.
You can't say otherwise.
Yeah.
I guess I can.
Regardless, I do believe at least Dwohurim shows up on time.
Alright, fantastic. Alright. You three arrive at the office and open the heavy door. A smoky haze surging towards your faces and into the hallway beyond. The stout bookcases loom on either side, carrying answers and distractions from ages past. Ahead, behind his mahogany desk, rests the venerable mage who oversees the Archmage's interest in Newport. He's not alone. Two others, one the object of Teraptus's glare, also reside within the room. Aurelia, Geráck, you can describe yourselves unless you want Lord Teraptus to describe you.
Well, sitting in front of Lord Teraptus is a black-scaled dragon spawn, dragonkin, dragonic, whatever word you prefer to use for the kind of creature she is. She is wearing undoubtedly custom-tailored light robes in brown and darker colors. Custom-tailored, easily seeable by the fact that they have a convenient hole for a long black tail to kind of poke out of. She answers Lord Teraptus's glare on occasion, but as you enter, she certainly turns towards you, takes a good look at each of you, a respectable nod to each of you, and she will then continue waiting.
And Dwarf Man?
Alright. He sits down there next to the wall. He's a bit tall for a dwarf, with long white braided beard and long hair as well, blue eyes, and looks to be quite strong. He's fully clad in heavy plate mail, ordained with some runes and some golden embroidery. He has a quite unique helmet currently in his lap, with sort of huge horns sticking out from either side of it. You don't really know what they are though. And with also a small gemstone in the middle. In his belt he has what looks like a bit of a plain warhammer, compared to the armor at least. One of the sides is jagged and the other is a spike. He has a determined look to him, but it also seems like there's something troubling him.